Part 74. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 732. But any normal man should not. Tan Jingmo's eyes fell on the Deputy Minister of Intelligence again, and suggested, "Would you like to check your ears?" My subordinate definitely heard it right. The Deputy Minister of Intelligence looked serious, because it was a call from zero. I even recorded it. After listening to it 10 times in a row, I came to the Lord to report to you. Tan Jingmo, it's really hard for you. After thinking for a few seconds, he chose to contact Yu Jian to ask her what happened yesterday. Nothing happened, Yu Jian yawned. It was the younger sister who was superior and suppressed the chief of zero a little bit, but in the end, no agreement was reached, and the two sides broke up. Little junior sister is very angry that she failed to catch Chief Zero and is practicing boxing in the house. I'll tell you. A few seconds later, the sound of bang bang boxing and the voice of the girl talking to herself clearly came from the microphone. "Hit you nasty bastard, black-hearted bastard, let you attack me and steal my goods, I will never pay attention to you." Tan Jingmo. The little sister was really angry. Tan Jingmo's eyes narrowed. "Third, you'd better tell the truth, what happened? Do you know that the other party offered to merge Zero into T18? This was within Tsukimi's expectations. She said slowly, "Isn't this a good thing?" Maybe it was frightened by the little sister. "What are you worried about?" "Scared," Tan Jingmo said lightly. "You didn't tell the truth." Yuemi shrugged. "Didn't you always hope that the two would be one? What do you care about so much? Don't talk, I'm going to drink." Call ended. Tan Jingmo put down the phone, his eyes narrowed deeper. Strange. He understands the style of Chief Zero. The other party is a man who kills decisively and almost without any means. The Deputy Minister of Intelligence said cautiously, "My lord, it's not really that Chief Zero who is interested in Chief Margaret, right? Is this a betrothal gift? Did he take the marriage joke seriously?" "He dares." Tan Jingmo's voice was light. "He can't even look at Margaret even if he looks at T18. That was his most precious little sister. She is also the little sister that Lu Qingning cherishes. Take nothing in exchange." Deputy Minister of Intelligence. "You guys continue to work, don't reply to Zero yet." Tan Jingmo stretched out his long arms and draped his black trench coat over his body. "Wait until I see Margaret in person." The Deputy Minister of Intelligence nodded. "Yes, my lord." The other side. Yu Zian was still standing outside the T18 branch. The door in front of him was closed, not even a single window was left. Very ruthless. Huo Yangxing clenched his fist to cover his lips and coughed lightly. He tried his best to suppress the smile on his lips, and asked him, "I didn't give you a reply." "Yeah," Yu Zian said lightly, "it makes sense, the T18 chief is very cautious." Huo Yangxing said, "You said that the chief and Qing Qing have a good relationship, and both of them regard Qing Qing as a younger sister. Shi Yan, if he knows your true thoughts, this cooperation will definitely fall apart." With a click, the door finally opened. Yu Zian raised her head. Yu Jian came out, and she raised her eyebrows. "You two, I suggest you not to go in." She took out a video and showed it to the two of them. In the video, Sci-fi smashed a sandbag with one punch. She could also be clearly heard saying the word sneak attack and nasty. Huo Yangxing's eyelids jumped. As expected of their Huo family. In this way, his methods are too gentle, but they are not like the Huo family. Yu Zian was slightly helpless after reading it. He was indeed eaten to death by her. Seeing her lose her temper, she just thought she was cute and well behaved. Yu Zian made a request to Yu Ejian, "Can I borrow your mobile phone to use it?" "No problem." Yu Jian was very cheerful and called Sci-fi's phone number. "Here." Yu Zian took it. The girl's slightly panting voice sounded in the microphone, "Hello. Yu Zian asked in a low voice, Ching Ching, does your hand hurt? Also Si fucking paused, reacted, and said loudly, prisoners can't use this routine to reduce their sentence. It's useless, indefinite is indefinite. I will give you another time limit for the routine. Snapped. The phone hangs up. Huo Yangzing's shoulders trembled and he couldn't help laughing. You can only help here. Yu Jian spread her hands, you have to think of other ways to see if you can make Ching Ching change her mind. I'll go buy her food first. She waved and drove away. Huo Yangzing finally suppressed his laughter and regained his paralyzed face. Shi Yan, I just wanted to ask you, what else did you do to my cousin? Yu Zian pressed her eyebrows, even more helpless, and said in a low voice, there was also a sneak attack in the game. The value of the goods stolen at that time was quite high, so it can't be considered a robbery. Huo Yangzing was choked and said with pity, then you should have been sentenced to life imprisonment. No, it's a wifeless sentence. He was even more fortunate. I don't know who is going so far. In the lounge. Si fucking finished a round of boxing and threw the 28th blasted sandbag into the trash can. She wiped her sweat, filled a bottle of water and sat down on the sofa. After calming down for a moment, Si fucking thought of a key figure, and his face instantly became expressionless. Feng San, you are finished. Her iron fist of justice is itchy, and she must swing it out. Si fucking gritted his teeth and smiled. She's not angry, not at all. No wonder. Si fucking pressed the dial button. The phone was picked up quickly. Hey, Miss Si, Feng San caught the life-saving straw. Miss Si, save me, Brother Ju wants to send me to the extreme north, I don't want to go. Si fucking said calmly, Feng San. He shouted with his first and last name again, causing Feng San to shudder. At this moment, he had the feeling that his heavenly spirit cover had been pried open. Done. Two large characters circled above his head. Feng San slid to his knees instantly. Miss Si, I don't know anything, Brother Ju just said that he went out to make an appointment and let me watch you. What a good guard, Si fucking said lightly, he asked you to look at me, you just look at me, then why didn't he tell you that the person he was going to fight was me? Feng San. If it weren't for the inappropriateness of this time, he really wanted to say, Miss Si, you and Ju Ji really have a good mind and say the same thing. Likewise, his heart was once again severely hit. Oh, Si fucking was still indifferent, what else did he tell you? Feng San struggled, no, it's nothing, Miss Si, I swear, Brother Ju intended to give you a good rest, but I really didn't expect you. I didn't expect that I was Margaret. Si fucking was ruthless, as an accomplice, I will sentence you too. The persecution finally ended, Feng San's hands trembled and wiped off the sweat. Fortunately, Miss Si didn't know that he still told Brother Ju that Margaret's style was cruel, otherwise others would be gone. How can this be good? The only thigh he could hold also kicked him away. Noob. There was a voice, lazily. Xiaobai ran out happily, you. Xiaoyu bent down and picked it up with one hand. He looked at the fluffy stuff that was not as big as his palm, and thought casually how such a small body could eat so much gold. No wonder it's only Pixiu. Sanzan, don't be too sad. Xiaobai stretched out his fleshy little paws and patted him on the shoulder, comforting, I'll go first, you hold on, you have to believe that Jeju will be with her. My boyfriend is as good as ever. Feng San. He couldn't hold on. This is a two-pronged attack. Immortals fight, mortals suffer. What evil did he do? Feng San sent Xiaobai away in tears, ready to pack up and reunite with Canyoning. 4 hours later, Tan Jingmo arrived in the western continent. He was fully armed and made to disguise. Hello, Tan Jingmo called you Ejian. Well, I'm here in the Zero branch, you let the younger sister calm down, I'll go meet the other party. He must see the true face of Chief Zero and what tricks this man is going to play. The biggest victim of these two chapters, Feng San, smiley face, and the second senior brother who is about to go crazy. Come and guess, what means did His Majesty use to coax Ching Ching back? QVQ. Thank you all for your support and comfort. Weeavuwu is still lying on the bed and typing the words. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 733. Tan Jingmo also told Yu Jian his doubts. How can I guess what the other person is thinking? We'll find out when we talk. Yu Jian raised his eyebrows. I wish you good luck. Tan Jingmo heard another meaning in these four words. But if you catch it carefully, it is fleeting and difficult to comprehend. Almost instantly, Tan Jingmo was sure that Yu Jian was trying to trick him somewhere. It's just that he hasn't found where the pit is yet. There is no other way but to be cautious. Tan Jingmo put the phone back into his pocket, glanced at Roland, who had his face buried in his beard and his shoulders were shaking, and narrowed his eyes. Yesterday in Romantic City, was it really just an unhappy ending? Really, Roland clapped his hands. I was anxious to see it, but you also know, my lord, that if the two sides really fight, someone else will definitely gain the advantage. Tan Jingmo nodded slightly. Well, let's go in. Roland secretly sweated. As long as he hugs Yu Jian and Sci-fi's legs after the incident is exposed, the chief can't do anything to him. This is the first time that the chiefs of Zero and T18 have met in private. There was no tension as expected, it was very peaceful. Yu Jian did not change his appearance. Tan Jingmo could also tell that this was indeed his true face. I didn't expect it. Tan Jingmo raised his eyebrows slightly. Mr. Yu is so young, what about his appearance? It is indeed the appearance of heaven and man. Yu Jian raised his head. That's ridiculous. Mr. Yu really gave up Zero. Tan Jingmo narrowed his eyes. You have established Zero for more than 10 years, and it has taken a lot of hard work. Well, I don't have time management, and I made my girlfriend angry when I came out this time. Yu Jian lowered his eyelashes slightly and smiled lightly. I just want to spend more time with her in the future. Zero and T18 have the same goal, and they will be able to perform tasks better after merging. Tan Jingmo thought thoughtfully, that's it? Indeed. He would do the same thing if it were him. The reason is quite clear. Tan Jingmo looked through the contract handed over by Yu Jian and found that there was nothing detrimental to T18, but rather very beneficial. He suddenly wanted to thank the other party's girlfriend whom he had never met. I don't know who it is, but it has such great power. Tan Jingmo drew a beautiful sign on the signature place and shook hands with Yu Jian. Happy cooperation. Yu Jian also said, it's a pleasure to cooperate. The merger project is huge, let's start with the branches. Tan Jingmo clicked on the headset. Wait a minute, I have a call. He walked out. It's Tsukimi. How's it going, Dick? The cooperation has been negotiated, Tan Jingmo said. It turns out that he wants to free up time to spend more time with his girlfriend. Yes, he is very capable and a good man. It's hard to find someone these days. Tsukimi agreed, it's pretty good. But I was thinking in my heart, I don't know if the second brother will boast about it after he knows the truth. Oh, by the way, I have some bad news for you, Yu Jian said calmly. Junior sister was so angry that she ran back to Daxia alone. Tan Jingmo paused for a moment, feeling a little ridiculous. No way. Already so angry with Chief Zero that he ran away without even seeing his brother-in-law. It seems that he has to ask Yu Jian how many more chips he wants. Well, then you tell the junior sister that the other party and I have signed a merger agreement, but the project volume is huge and each branch must be implemented in place. Tan Jingmo said lightly, the other party did not make any demands. I arranged for him to work under junior sister, so that junior sister can vent her anger. Yu Jian had a complicated expression. You are really It really gives the enemy a chance. You can't blame her. Tan Jingmo narrowed his eyes. Huh. It's nothing, Yu Jian said. There is also a plane in the base. You can come to Daxia together. On the other side, Daxia. Sci-Fucking was not really so angry that she ran away, but because her first filming assignment this year, The Treasure of the Great Summer, was about to begin recording. She just went to Daxia Terrace 2 days in advance. The program crew are all old acquaintances and are very enthusiastic. Teacher SI, we meet again. The assistant director was very happy. This is our third time working together. Sci-Fucking said hello. It's very reassuring to cooperate with you. Director Chen's face was expressionless. His heart couldn't bear it. You have to prepare medicine in advance. By the way, there is a clip about Emperor Yin in The Princess of the Country. I watched it repeatedly and felt that the actor's feelings for Emperor Yin were well understood. Director Chen said, if possible, the show can free up a whole section. This period is dedicated to taking pictures of Emperor Yin. Sci-Fucking clenched her fists, gritted her teeth and smiled. No, he's dead. Director Chen. Sci-Fucking was ruthless. He was beaten to death by my iron fist of justice. There is no need to film him. She picked up the script and sat aside to read it, and put on noise-cancelling headphones to isolate herself from the world. Director Chen was confused. The assistant director whispered, did Teacher SI have a fight with her boyfriend? Director Chen glanced at him sideways. How do you know that Teacher SI has a boyfriend or that they had a quarrel? Isn't it obvious at a glance? The assistant director clapped his hands. Because my daughter and her partner are just like elementary school students when they quarrel. Director Chen, I'm going to tell Teacher SI that you scolded him. No, 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 Lao Chen. The assistant director was startled. I'm just gossiping, there is absolutely no other meaning. Director Chen waved his hand. We have discussed with Taili that the character Zhang Haiping will be filmed in the first episode, and the actor will still be Teacher Mo Yishan. After all, the female general of the kingdom mainly focuses on Zhang Ziyu, and not much is left on Zhang Haiping. The assistant director nodded. Teacher Mo will be here soon. He and Teacher Si are also old acquaintances. 10 minutes later, Mo Yishan arrived at the program set. He feels refreshed recently. Relying on the role of Zhang Haiping, he successfully turned around in less than one episode and got rid of the #1 scumbag immortal. It's just that the scene in just a few dozen minutes was so deeply rooted in people's hearts that even now when he goes out, there are passers-by hugging him and crying. I don't know whether I am happy or sad. Teacher Mo Yishan and Si-Fucking shook hands. We meet again, what are you? He saw her poking at her phone. Si-Fucking clenched his fists. I am reading the prisoner's testimony. This black-hearted monster's testimony cannot be trusted. He will be sentenced to life imprisonment. Mo Yishan. Where did the prisoner come from? What crime did you commit again? So cruel, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. At this moment, on the plane flying to Daxia, Yu Zian looked at the line inputting. And did not get a reply until the line disappeared. He sighed. It's a good thing, at least it hasn't been blocked or deleted. It seemed that those few sneak attacks on her really made her angry. Tan Jingmo glanced lightly. Mr. Yu is coaxing his girlfriend. Yu Zian did not hesitate. Well, where is Mr. Tan? Tan Jingmo paused and wrote lightly, died 10 years ago. Yu Zian was startled for a moment. Sorry. There's nothing to be sorry for. You don't know, Tan Jingmo said casually. Also, I want to remind you that you must be careful when working under Margaret. Yu Zian coughed twice. Yes, I understand. There was no more conversation along the way. The plane arrived in Daxia. Tan Jingmo asked casually, Mr. Yu, if you don't go to the branch now, where are you going? Yu Zian glanced at the time. I invested in a variety show, so go and have a look first. Okay, Tan Jingmo said, come here when you are done, and I will introduce you to Margaret. We are a family, and we can clear up any misunderstandings. Uzian snorted, then I'll trouble you, Mr. Tan. The two separated. Tan Jingmo stood at the entrance of the T18 Daxia branch. The feeling that something was wrong was getting stronger and could not go away. Strangeness. Tan Jingmo pressed his temples and decided to ignore this strange situation and complete the merger of the two Daxia branches first. Shen Ying drove over to pick up Uzian and reported everything one by one. Brother Ninth, Miss Si has joined the team, and Mr. Mo Yishan has joined the team at the same time. You can rest assured. Uzian closed her eyes. Well, let's go there first. Daxia Treasures does not require outdoor scenes. The program team filmed it on Daxia Station. Everyone in MUSI also knew that this was Sci-Fi's first variety show this year, and many people came over to wait outside. There were many people at the front door, so Shenying parked the car behind. The car door opened and Uzian stepped out. His appearance have always been striking. Beside, a girl was hesitant and unsure. She stepped forward tentatively and asked hesitantly, "Please, are you Mr. Yu? I am your fan, can you sign your autograph for me? If not, it's okay." After all, her attributes are quite special. I am a CP fan. He is also a magical Lalan CP. Uzian glanced at the photo she handed over. The photo showed him and Si. It's just that they have never taken such a photo. Not surprisingly, it was synthesized by fans using black technology. The synthesis is good. You can take a few photos in this pose in the future. Well, I'm chasing her. Uzian bent down slightly, with deep eyes and a slight smile, and whispered, I just made her angry, can you help me? The girl's expression went from disbelief to surprise, almost jumping 3 feet high. She nodded desperately, yes, yes. The real owner pressed her head and knelt. Isn't this a human being? The girl stammered, I may not be enough on my own, I'll find someone for you. There are many CP fans at the scene today. Uzian straightened up and smiled lightly, thank you very much. Upstairs, where the program crew shoots. The originally peaceful room suddenly erupted with exclamations. Wow! Beautiful! What is this? Director Chin was a little confused, what happened outside? The assistant director looked confused, I don't know. The staff ran out to watch the excitement, and suddenly someone shouted, Teacher Si, come here quickly and look out the window. What's wrong? Si took off his headphones, walked to the window and looked around. Good morning. The second senior brother actually has a very high IQ. He can compete with Ching Ching in a battle of wits and courage. The main thing is that he was tricked from both ends and the enemy got inside. It was really miserable. Your Majesty is indeed not an upright person. After all, he is an emperor. He is good at using strategies to attack the heart. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 734. A lot of drones, Mr. Si, is this your suitor? It's a big deal. Although it's a bit old-fashioned, I'm a local dog, and I love to watch it. This drone doesn't seem to be played by enthusiasts, why does it look like a military magazine? There are indeed many drones. The drone flew back and forth, forming a sentence. Miss Si, the prisoner asked for a chance to meet alone. There are fans shouting below. Promise him. Promise him. Ching Ching promises him. Give me a chance. Si. The scheming black-hearted monster. She even tricked her fans. At this time, Several drones flew over precisely towards the floor where the program group was located. One of the drones delivered a dew-stained gypsophila. It's Sci-Fi's favorite one. The staff held their faces and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Mr. Si, give me a chance." Sci did not respond. She looked at the drones and squinted. Why did she feel that some of the drones looked familiar? Like made by T18. Do not. That is. Sci ruthlessly pinched the wing of the drone with one hand, and called Yuejian with the other, "Senior sister, how could you betray me? You actually loaned our drone out. 4 prisoners." "Xiaoju, I misunderstood," Yu Jian said slowly. "It seems that the prisoner didn't tell you that he and the second child signed a merger agreement a few hours ago, and we are already one family." Sci. Is the second senior a fool? Mo Yishan asked curiously. "Teacher Si, is this the prisoner you sentenced to life imprisonment?" "Yes." Si put away the stars. "Absolutely not soft-hearted, do not give." "What does it have to do with the black-hearted monster Yuzian that the drone gave her?" She turned around and closed the window ruthlessly. "We'll continue recording later." The staff suddenly said, "Mr. Si, it's raining heavily." Crash dash. The pouring rain fell from the sky, very abruptly. The people waiting outside did not bring umbrellas, and some people screamed in surprise. The drones that were laying the words also stopped, and they gradually drifted away like a desolate kite. Very poor. The people downstairs also went to take shelter from the rain. "What a big rain," the staff couldn't help but say. "Such a heavy rain will damage it." Hearing this sentence, Si clenched his fists and stopped. A few seconds later, she went downstairs with no expression on her face. The assistant director sighed with his hands behind his back. "Primary school students quarrel, so happy." "Director Chin. You are ruthless, you guessed it right." There was no one downstairs, only a figure was still standing in the rain. The world was dark, but the man's eyebrows became clearer and more handsome. After hearing footsteps, he raised his head. The rain slid down his hair and chin, soaking his collarbone. Like a big wet dog. His eyes were misty, diluting his usual rigor. Si avoided his gaze and took out an umbrella. "Can't you open an umbrella?" He is also an evolutionary, and a space system, and his physique is very strong. The 3-foot-high waves wouldn't have any effect on him, let alone this level of rain. She knew that he did it on purpose, but she still came down. He didn't pick up the umbrella. Si turned around. "Come in." Yuzian sighed and asked in a low voice, "Can the sentence be reduced?" Si glanced at him, wiped the rain on his face with a towel, and ravaged him viciously before saying, 20 years in prison." Yuzian coughed. "Well, good. At least it's expired." Yuzian made another request, "Can the prisoner take a shower?" Si threw the towel down. "Shanglu, take the prisoner to the bathroom." Shanglu stepped forward nervously. "Mr. Yu, please." He was very afraid that he would follow in Feng San's footsteps. At 7 o'clock the rain stopped. Yuzian also finished taking a shower. Very mature and perfect figure, but the muscle lines are very youthful, which makes people heartwarming. But Sifu sits in a relaxed manner. "I want to record a variety show, you don't want to affect my career," she pushed him. "Go out, I don't care about the merger of T18 and Zero, find someone else." Yuzian was finally pushed out of the program group. He sighed lightly. That didn't even work. Still have to think of another way. The phone rang, and Yuzian returned to her senses. "Mr. Yu, the Daxia branch has been merged," Tan Jingmo said. "Have you finished your business?" Yuzian nodded slightly. "It's done, thank you Mr. Tan." "You're welcome," Tan Jingmo said again. "Then trouble Mr. Yu and me to go to Dongsang and 11 Continent." "It is good. T18 branch here." Roland looked at Tan Jingmo who boarded the plane. It wasn't until the man's figure disappeared that he wiped his sweat and breathed a sigh of relief. It's okay. The investigator's subordinates were a little puzzled. Deputy Minister, what are you doing? Fortunately, Chief, his old man can't surf the internet at all. Otherwise, he would be mad to see that the drone he gave out was actually used to coax Chief Margaret. It's really good. The Western Continent branch is the largest branch, and it will be more complicated to merge. Mr. Yu, don't worry, there are enough T-18 staff, and they won't assign you many tasks. Tan Jingmo finished sorting out the information. Although Margaret has a violent style, she is still very protective of her shortcomings. Yu Zian lowered her eyelashes and chuckled, yes. Tan Jingmo raised his head and narrowed his eyes. And at this moment, boom! Suddenly, the sound of an explosion crashed overhead. The sturdy bulletproof wall was also shaken, and cracks appeared. A search chief suddenly raised his head, his expression changed greatly. My lord. It's a revenge organization. Boom. Another explosion fell. Tan Jingmo reacted very quickly, and suddenly pressed down several subordinates on the side. Get down. Boom. The fire soared into the sky. The explosions sounded one after another, deafening. After a round of bombing, the T-18 Western Continent branch was completely in ruins. Fortunately, Tan Jingmo had already designed shelters in each branch, and there were no major casualties. Tan Jingmo's eyes showed a bit of coldness. As expected, I can't wait. The explosions continued. A young investigator was a little flustered. Lord. There is a bomb at his feet. The distance is too short for Tan Jingmo to catch up. Seeing that the bomb was about to explode at his feet. OM. The air seemed to vibrate suddenly. With a bang, the young man appeared in a safe area and was not injured by the explosion. The young man was terrified. He stared blankly at the man who was tall and straight like a mountain of jade trees. Many, thank you. Tan Jingmo's eyes narrowed. Space. There are not many evolutionists in the space system, and there are very few people with powerful talents. Yu Zian didn't explain much, just hummed lightly. Tan Jingmo smiled coldly. Wait a minute and see what else they can do. Yu Zian also had this intention. Tan Jingmo frowned. I was bombed here, your side. At this moment, Shen Ying's phone call came. Yu Zian pressed the speakerphone. Ninth brother, the Zero branch was also bombed. Shen Ying's voice was very deep. Fortunately, after practicing many times, the brothers entered the underground shelter in time. There are wounded, but it is not serious. You are in T-18. Side. Nothing, Yu Zian said lightly. Check. At this moment, there are several stealth fighters in the sky. The door of the fighter plane opened wide, and the young man-headed looked at the ruins below. One person said, if these dozen new things are thrown away, they will definitely not survive. Another person said, yes, even the experimental base of the Intercontinental Research Institute was bombed. What are the two intelligence organizations? No, bomb it again, and release the poison after the bombing is over. The young man's eyes were cold. 90% chance, they are all evolutionaries, and we must completely solve the future troubles. When Zero and T-18 are strong and evenly matched, they compete and restrict each other. If the two are combined into one, the threat will multiply exponentially. In the eyes of the Revenge Organization, compared to the four major families of Liberty Continent, it is obvious that T-18 and Zero are better to deal with. Be sure to root out as many of these threatening little ants as you can before the holy day. Hashtag T-18 West Mainland Branch was bombed. Hashtag Zero West Mainland Branch was bombed. Hashtag. The movement caused by the Revenge Organization is not small, and it is aimed at the two major international intelligence organizations, and it suddenly exploded on major social platforms around the world. Director Chin pushed his glasses. We're still safe here. The assistant director was very scared. Old Chin, You also said that teacher SI was organized by secret agents. If it is true, it will surely suffer. At the same time, SI fucking also received a call from Yujian. Ching Ching, RN0's branch in the western continent was bombed. Yujian's voice sank. It's a revenge organization, they didn't hide it, the signal is gone, I can't contact the second child and Mr. Yu right now. During this time, the revenge organization was visibly arrogant. There are many clues to trace some facts. Whether it's the Huo family's twins being dropped off, or the instigation of several Yin and Yang families in Dongzhang to attack Dongzhou, and the last time the Intercontinental Research Institute's experimental base was bombed, all of these things have nothing to do with the revenge team. Through SI fucking's plan to lure the snake out of the hole, the Huo family successfully learned that there is a stronger dark force behind the revenge organization. Also more elusive. The Godfather must be one of them. Not to mention high-tech means, even the tracers of Yuan Mingqi could not be located. So many years have passed, the Holy Light Judgment has not been able to find the core headquarters of the revenge organization. SI fucking had never encountered an enemy who was completely hidden in the dark, and could not be caught. It has now been 5 years since the explosion in which she died, and there is still no concrete evidence other than the involvement of the revenge organization and the division. SI fucking's voice was calm, I see, I'll be there soon. When he raised his eyes again, there was only coldness left in the bottom of his eyes. Really looking for death. Still in bed with my aunt lying on the corpse in pain, I typed the words "see you tomorrow" with difficulty. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 735. No one can say exactly what the purpose of the revenge organization is. They seem to just launch various destructive actions indiscriminately. As long as it is evil, there will be their presence. After they appeared once, they would disappear quickly, which gave Holy Light Judgment a headache. Tsukimi's fingers tapped on the keyboard with a serious voice. The explosion is still going on, but our base has several floors underground and uses new defense materials produced by the Intercontinental Research Institute. Your boyfriend and second child's strength are not bad either, so there must be nothing wrong. Well, help me arrange a helicopter. SI fucking looked at the rolling ink outside the window. The ink is thick and the dark clouds are spreading, which are the precursors of the coming storm. So she said again, it's going to rain soon, prepare the route in advance. Yuji untapped the headset, brought up an instruction box on the keyboard and pressed enter. She hooked her lips with a low smile, understood. The division of labor between the two major departments of T18 is clear. The intelligence department is responsible for first-hand detection of intelligence, and is also responsible for handling the aftermath for the operations department and preparing various solutions. At this moment, it seemed to return to the time when they fought side by side a few years ago. Yujian murmured softly, welcome back, Xiaoju. Here, SI fucking put down his phone, his eyes cold. There is also a heated discussion online. Netizens have watched a lot of movies, and their brains are also very big. Is it some kind of dark organization? It blew up too. Zero and T18 are really troubled brothers. God bless you, must be alright? After all, last year's military training was still led by Zero investigators. Right, what about Ching Ching? Ching Ching was just a name at the time, shouldn't it be from an intelligence organization? The news of the bombing of T18 and Zero quickly covered up the explosion of a mysterious man who claimed to be a prisoner begging SI fucking to forgive. But there are still many mooses who are gritting their teeth and starting to dig deep into the information of a mysterious man, and lay down the words "the feud of wives is undying." The few CP fans who met Yuzian were tight-lipped, but their hearts had already turned upside down. Director Chin, I have some personal matters. SI fucking folded his hands together, please allow me to take 2 days off, and I will make up for the lost filming progress. Don't worry, The funds lost by the program team in the past 2 days will also be made up by me. Okay, you're welcome. Director Chin waved his hand. I still don't believe you. Go ahead. The assistant director smiled and asked, Mr. Si, did your boyfriend do something wrong, and you want to go back and punish him? Si fucking put his bag on his back, expressionless. No, I'm here to save this prisoner. The assistant director nodded again and again. Understood. Sure enough, it was a schoolboy quarrel. He was beaten to death the first second, and saved the next second. Mr. Si, let me take you out. Director Chin stood up. Has the car come to pick you up? Do we need to take you there? Si fucking said lazily, no need, there is a plane to pick me up. Director Chin paused, suspecting that he had heard it wrong. Airplane. As soon as these two words fell, he saw Si fucking open a window. Boom. It was indeed the sound of a helicopter. After a while, a helicopter broke through the clouds and stopped at the level of the program group. In the silence, the hatch opened. Roland held his beard and waved towards Si fucking. Hi, sir, your dear Roland. Si fucking got into the plane. Before the hatch closed, she waved to Director Chin and the assistant director. Director Chin. Deputy Director. The roar sounded again, and the helicopter gradually disappeared from everyone's sight. Still eerily silent. I don't know how long it took before the staff said tremblingly, is the new film and television series that Mr. Si received, Agent Metamorphosis? It's kinda cool. A photographer said excitedly, isn't this the material of my dreams in my second year of secondary school? One day in the future, a group of people in black will suddenly come to pick me up and call me sir. Director Chin. No, he now deeply suspects that Si fucking is an agent himself. Director Chin took out a medicine bottle from his pocket, poured out a round ball, and swallowed it. He should have known earlier that his heart was vulnerable here in Si fucking. The other side. Liberty Island, Holy Light Judgment. Freedom Continent is a chaotic continent without order, let alone managing external affairs. It's just that this time it involves the Revenge Organization, and the Holy Light Judgment also checked it more. By the time they got the news, both Zero and T-18's Western Continent branch had been bombed to rubble. Sir, what should I do about this? A knight said. The Revenge Organization is really getting more and more arrogant. Since he is not in Freeland, there is no need to report such trivial matters to the Führer. The Knight Commander said, the Führer is in retreat, so there is no need to disturb him. The knights looked at each other. Someone worried and said, when will the head of state leave the customs? The Knight Commander pondered, I'm afraid it depends on when the one from the top of the cloud will come out. The knights were silent. And we have already increased the investigation of the stronghold of the Revenge Organization, but they are running too fast, and every time they go, there are only small minions left. The Knight Commander shook his head. We can only wait for the Führer to find a new way to exit the customs, so that the other party can be solved together. After he finished speaking, he instructed again, they have suffered heavy losses this time, go to the headquarters of the two companies to send some funds. At this moment, the Western Continent. Well, stealth fighter Yu Xian was talking to Shen Ying. Her tone was cool, calm down. Understood, ninth brother, but the equipment has been destroyed, and it will take dozens of minutes to reset it. Shen Ying said in a deep voice, I'm afraid they will slip away again. Yu Xian said lightly, no, bombing is just the first step. Shen Ying was horrified, ninth brother, do you mean that they have other means? Yu Xian nodded slightly, you have time, but first of all, we must keep our people safe and sound. He didn't want anyone to get hurt again. In this life, he also wants to protect the people around him as much as possible. Another bell rang. Tan Jingmo glanced at Yu Xian and walked to the other side. Hello. Yu Jian said, little junior sister passed by, did you see it? Tan Jingmo frowned and said, "Why is Xiaju here?" The two major intelligence organizations, Zero and T18, are not high profile in Liberty Continent, and they have not shown any force value. Even many large and small families in Liberty Continent only regard the two major intelligence organizations as a detective agency, allowing them to trace things such as derailment and illegitimate children. It doesn't take much effort to get money, and Tan Jingmo is also very happy. The action of the revenge organization was sudden, but it did underestimate the strength of the two major intelligence organizations, and only sent people from one branch. These people are nothing to Tan Jingmo. Yu Jian snorted and said, "You were bombed here, and the little sister must be uneasy, and I heard that it was done by the revenge organization, so I rushed over here." When Tan Jingmo heard this, not only was he not moved, but his eyes narrowed. "Yun-san, do you believe this?" Yu Jian followed the goodness. "Oh, let me put it another way, the little junior sister came to save you on the way to clean up the revenge organization." Tan Jingmo. Although this may sound extremely unpleasant, the credibility has increased. Ro. He knew that there was no brother-sister relationship between him and Sci-fucking. Really good sister. After the call ended, Tan Jingmo still felt that Yu Jian was very wrong these 2 days. He kept an eye out. Tan Jingmo turned his head. "Mr. Yu, Margaret is here, she will solve it." Yu Xian smiled calmly. "Well, thank her first." At the same time, the revenge organization also discovered the arrival of Sci-fucking. The technician looked at the computer. "Captain." Someone appeared, only one. The visitor was wearing a cloak that covered his entire body. "I can't see the face, and I can't tell the difference between men and women." "Humph, have you sent rescue soldiers here?" The young man let out a soft sneer. "What's the use of rescue soldiers from the intelligence organization? At most, they're just an A-level evolutionary. If it doesn't blow up, I'll send the God Killer down later." Could it be possible to knock down the plane? Last time, a branch of the revenge organization was destroyed, and the intruders did not even leave a trace. In any case, this time they have to complete the mission of the headquarters. In the picture, Sci-fucking was still walking forward until he reached the range of the stealth fighter. Rao is a member of the revenge organization, and he is also very puzzled. What does he want to do? Whatever he wants to do, the young man waved his hand casually. "Drop a few bombs and kill them first." The subordinate nodded and smiled. "The hot weapon developed by FemaleProtagonist, of course, a mortal person can't resist it. That is, FemaleProtagonist took a lot of core materials from the Intercontinental Research Institute. After so many years, he has improved a lot." Fighting with stealth fighters? How to spell? The members of the revenge organization do not think that Sci-fucking alone can pose any threat to them. Just to die. Sci-fucking looked at the ruins and clenched his fingers bit by bit. She exuded coldness all over her body, and even her outline was icy cold. Buzz. The air vibrated. As if he had been summoned, the wind whistled. On the stealth fighter, the young man sneered and said, "Throw it away." However, the accident happened suddenly at this time. Boom. The roar sounded, and the ground shook again. The shock also pulled the Zero and T18 hidden in the basement. The search officers looked at their chiefs. "Lord." Tan Jingmo said lightly, "Don't worry." He turned on the monitoring screen, and the screen was able to transmit all the pictures that happened in the outside world. So Tan Jingmo saw an unforgettable scene in his life. His pupils contracted slightly. In the ruins, countless steel bars rose into the air under the traction of the forces of yin and yang and the 5 elements, forming a huge iron sword. Sci-fucking raised his head slightly, looked at several stealth fighter jets in the sky, and raised his hand. She said, "Sword up. Good morning. You can give the super handsome Ching Ching a monthly ticket. Wow." After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 736. Buzz dash. The giant sword made of steel vibrated violently and suddenly rose into the air. Aha! The sound of a sharp blade cutting through the air, and a series of explosions sparks. The giant sword slashed straight into the sky. In the underground shelter, the investigators from both sides widened their eyes when they saw this scene. After Tan Jingmo was shocked, he quickly calmed down. This is Sci-Fi's true strength. It seemed like she was recovering well, so he could feel relieved. On the stealth fighter plane, all members of the revenge organization, including the youth, were also stunned. How can this be? There are actually S-class evolvers inside T-18 and Zero? An evolver who can manipulate steel? One person was so horrified that he simply couldn't believe it. Captain, he dash. Before I could finish the rest of the words, the giant sword had already slashed at the stealth fighter. It fell apart instantly. Everyone in the plane was also shaken out by the huge shock wave. Boom boom boom. The explosion sounded again, but this time it was members of the revenge organization who were bombed. All 4 stealth fighters were engulfed in flames. Screams rang out, and ashes and debris fell one after another. Roland waved his hand. Brothers, come with me to see if anyone is alive. Capture them all and interrogate them carefully. The T-18 investigator who came with him followed behind him. After Sci-Fi confirmed that all the stealth fighters had been destroyed, he jumped down from the rocks. She walked to each door and pressed a series of passwords. The door to the ground opens and light pours in. Tan Jingmo looked at the girl who walked in quietly. They don't have the same face, and their ages are completely different. But he knew that this was his little junior sister. 5 years. 5 full years later, she seems to be more independent and able to stand alone. This was also the first time that Sci-Fi met Tan Jingmo after many years. It's hard to describe in words at once. It was she who broke the silence first. Let me state in advance that I am not here to save you. Tan Jingmo glanced at her and said lazily, I know, you came here specifically to clean up the revenge organization and stopped by to save me. Sci-Fi, it can be said that the excuse given by third senior sister is good. Then she wouldn't explain it. When facing Tan Jingmo, Sci-Fi did feel guilty. But she soon regained her composure. She is already so old. If she is not dead and has skipped 3 years, and is not far from 30 years old, why can't she fall in love? She has not yet argued with Tan Jingmo about his use of double seniority to suppress her. Come on, Margaret. Tan Jingmo didn't know what his junior sister was thinking, so he patted her on the shoulder. Let me introduce to you, this is Zero's chief, who has no disguised face. Don't you care about looks? In the past, if you met someone good-looking during a mission, you would be more gentle. Hearing these words, Yu Zian raised his eyes and smiled lightly. Huh. Sci-Fi looked at Tan Jingmo with a death smile, and his fist was very hard. You're gone, Dick. What nonsense are you talking about in front of her boyfriend? There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Tan Jingmo said calmly, we will be a family from now on, and we can let go of all our grudges. Sci-Fi didn't want to talk to him anymore, so she turned her head away, not looking at Deo who kept locking her gaze. Evacuate all the brothers first. Yes. Tan Jingmo nodded, go to the temporary stronghold. Soon, thousands of branch members of Zero and T-18 entered a building that Tan Jingmo had just bought not long ago. Sci-Fi gave medicine to the injured investigators. Little Margaret. Tan Jingmo called her from behind, I need to see you if I need anything. Sci-Fi had just arrived at Yu Zian's lounge and didn't look back. Wait a moment, I'm busy. Tan Jingmo glanced at his watch. Okay, I'll give you 10 minutes. 10 minutes should be enough for junior sister to beat someone up. Tan Jingmo walked out. Roland also followed. The door closes. Only Sci-Fi and Yu Zian were left inside. Roland buried his face in his beard and couldn't bear to look at it. Their poor chief. This was like personally delivering Chief Margaret into the mouth of the big bad wolf. He must try hard to reduce his sense of presence. It would not be good if he laughed out loud for a while. Indoor. Si fucking picked up the gauze and asked coldly, "Are you injured?" Uzian lowered her eyelashes and said in a low voice, "No." Si fucking stared at him and issued an order, "Turn around and let me check." He was also very obedient and turned around obediently. Si fucking reached out and took off his shirt. She touched it and found that there were indeed no new scars, and it still felt as good as ever. Uzian said, "Ching ching, you. Prisoners are not allowed to speak until it's time for questioning." Si fucking was still cold. "Let me check below, what are you going to do? Just roll up your trousers. I won't let you take them off." Uzian put down his hand and said thoughtfully, "So that's it?" Si fucking gritted his teeth. "Prisoners are not allowed to think wildly. What are you thinking about all day long? Does she look like she wants to strip him naked?" Si fucking bent down and checked his legs, and then he breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that there was no problem. Uzian suddenly said, "Ching ching, I am now the deputy director of the operations department." Si fucking. "What's wrong with you, Dick?" Si fucking's fist became hard again. He looked into her eyes and called slowly, "Sir Margaret." She knew he had a nice voice, especially when he said her name. The cold voice had a bit of a smile. It's like a feather falling on the tip of the heart, plucking the heartstrings bit by bit. The prisoner made another vocal attack on her. "You are forbidden to call me that," Si fucking said coldly and ruthlessly. "Now it's a life sentence again." Uzian looked at her. "K ching ching, you rushed over to save me immediately." "I'll save you, I'll save you, I'll be angry if I'm angry." Si fucking squeezed his shoulders, used strength in her hands, and smiled slightly. "I think you're in good health." Uzian coughed. "It's actually not very good." Si fucking refused to listen and flexed his wrist. "Accept the iron fist of justice, you black-hearted monster." 10 minutes later, the door opened. Tan Jingmo turned around and found that the man's face was paler than before. He raised an eyebrow. "Really beaten? It seems that placing Chief Zero in the operations department is the right decision. At least there is a junior sister who can suppress him. What are you looking at? You're gone." Si fucking glanced at him. "Don't you have something to tell me?" Tan Jingmo hummed and called Roland and asked him to prepare something to eat for Uzian. Being beaten up by a junior sister must have taken a lot of energy. The two brothers and sisters entered a well-soundproof lounge. Tan Jingmo called her, "Xiao Cheng." Not junior sister, nor Yunju. This is what Ye Banglan and Lu Qingning call her, and Tan Jingmo is the third person. He smiled. "Welcome back." Si fucking was moved for a second. "Beiji, you are so kind." Tan Jingmo's smile disappeared and his eyelids were half raised. "Yunjiu, have you grown up?" Si fucking followed Shan Ruliu and said, "Second brother." Tan Jingmo laughed angrily and tapped her head with his finger. "Nothing big or small. Hey, don't bully me just because I'm just a transcendent a grade evolutionary." Si fucking held his head. "Be careful, I'll find someone to beat you." "Oh," Tan Jingmo glanced at her lightly. "Elder brother or master?" Si fucking snorted. "Let me." She stopped in time. "I have many masters, be careful when you enter eternity." Tan Jingmo knew that she had become a master in the eternal continent, so he clicked his tongue and said, "Okay, you have a lot of backing, so I won't argue with you. Are you hungry?" Before Si fucking could speak, her stomach rumbled. She received a look of disdain from her second senior brother. Wait. 10 minutes later, a simple bowl of tomato and egg noodles was served. Tan Jingmo reached out and knocked on the table. "Eat." Si fucking was not polite to him and began to enjoy the steaming noodles comfortably. After a while, Tan Jingmo suddenly asked, "Does it look like it?" Si paused with the chopsticks in his hand and whispered, "It smells like Sister Ning." Lu Qingning is a little life expert, and her wild survival skills were taught by Lu Qingning. Lu Qingning taught her many things, including how to behave, but unfortunately she could only learn how to cook. She also knew that Lu Qingning was afraid that Tan Jingmo would not eat well, so she left him some cooking videos. He has studied very hard these years. Tan Jingmo smiled faintly, "That's good, eat quickly." Si ate the noodles in silence, feeling a little sad. After eating, she remembered something important: how could you put that nasty guy in the operations department? Tan Jingmo raised his eyebrows, "He robbed your goods, so I placed him under your command. Isn't it convenient for you to manipulate him?" Si gritted his teeth and smiled, "Very good. But his strength is unfathomable, so be careful." Tan Jingmo said, "If you really can't beat him, just be patient and wait for senior brother to come back to help you." Si said thoughtfully, "That makes sense." While the brothers and sisters were talking, Roland knocked on the door. Sir, we have captured 2 alive and are waiting for your interrogation." Tan Jingmo calmed down his lazy expression, "Let's go over there." This branch of the revenge organization was wiped out by Si with one strike of his sword. The only 2 people left alive had their arms broken off and their legs broken off. Horrible. The members of the 2 revenge groups were imprisoned and unable to move. Roland gave them medicine in advance to prevent them from bleeding to death. Tan Jingmo spoke slowly, "I'm very curious, as a branch, who gave you the courage to attack T18? Perhaps knowing that death was imminent, the controlled young man simply did not beg for mercy." He sneered, "A branch is already giving you face, but it is just an intelligence organization." "Oh? An intelligence organization that can catch your eye?" Tan Jingmo tilted his head and smiled, "Junior sister, it seems that we really have no threat at all. Is the top of the cloud already ordinary these days? Concealing it is nothing, because both of them concealed it and offset it. They mainly focused on avenging the sneak attack QVQ, but they couldn't bear to part with it. The fake uncle, Huo Yangxing. The real uncle, Tan Jingmo, and the handsome elder brother who will appear this month. What's going on? You suddenly called His Majesty a prisoner? See you tomorrow." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 737. Come on, second senior brother. Si clapped without any guilt. He looks down on you, you must let him see how powerful you are. The young man vomited blood and felt that the names between the 2 giants of T18 were very strange. Senior brothers and sisters? Where did the master come from? But before the young man could think about it carefully, he heard the sound of the ground shaking. Crack. Aha! The young man screamed, and his whole body sank into the ground. Only his head came out, but he couldn't even turn it. The man in front of him just raised his hand gently without any unnecessary movement. Earth element control. Control the earth and stone. The young man's eyes suddenly widened in disbelief. There are most evolvers in this category who control elements, but not everyone can have powerful talents and practice to the extreme. And this man's control over the earth element has clearly reached a terrifying level. Earth, water, wind, and fire are the 4 major elements that make up the material in nature, and they are more pure and powerful. It will only be an S-class evolver. They are still the strongest among the S-class evolvers. With such strength, even if he went to Eternal Academy, he would still be the captain of the law enforcement team. How could he open an ordinary intelligence organization? The young man's brain instantly fell into a pumping state, and his thoughts could not move at all. Tan Jingmo was condescending and said in a cold tone, "I'll give you a chance to make excuses." The muscles on the young man's face trembled, and he gritted his teeth, obviously not wanting to tell what he knew. But his whole body was crushed by the ground, and the unprecedented pain made him scream. He couldn't bear such torture. Si raised his eyebrows. "Second senior brother, I haven't seen you for a few years. You've made some progress." Hearing this, Tan Jingmo snorted softly, "I can't compare to you. Your ability as an evolver is unmatched. Copy. As long as Si*'s bloodline reaches a certain level of purity, what abilities of an evolver can't she copy? She can fully use the evolver ability that can restrain her opponents. It's basically a walking god-killing machine." The young man's face turned purple and he opened his mouth. "Eternity, eternity." However, just as he said these two words, his body suddenly twitched. In an instant, blood flowed from his mouth, nose, eyes, and ears. He stared, fell softly, and soon became silent. This was within Si*'s expectation. She squatted down and said calmly, "It's exactly the same as last time. There is something similar to yin-yang's restriction in these people's bodies, but it is completely different from yin-yang. Eternal continent." Tan Jingmo raised his head, his eyes even colder. "Junior sister, I have checked for a long time, but I still can't find out who made this holographic game. I only know that it existed a long, long time ago, ever since the Eternal Academy was established. In the beginning, it was only used as a place for students to practice, take exams, and increase their strength. Later, it spread to the entire free continent, and then spread from free continent to other continents. As a holographic game, the system of Eternal is too powerful. Not only does it allow players to bring physical items from the game, it also increases the player's strength and can be retained in reality. What is even more shocking is that in the Abyss mode with the largest time ratio, you will actually die. Not even corpses will be left in the game cabin, submerged in the virtual world. Si exhaled slowly. Maybe it has many functions that we don't know about. For example, time travel. It was a coincidence that she opened the door to travel through the Great Xia dynasty, and she couldn't find the reason. Tan Jingmo sneered, "That's really amazing. Second senior brother, our purpose is the same." Si turned his head and chuckled, "Revenge. Yet Tuanlin's hatred, Lu Qingning's hatred, too many. If she also dies, the Eternal Four can be said to be almost completely wiped out." This made her suspect that someone was deliberately targeting them. Tan Jingmo's eyes changed suddenly. His hands slowly clenched, and the veins on his arms popped. Tan Jingmo slowly uttered three words, "Yes, revenge. Never forget it for a moment." He thought he was strong enough. But facing the vaster eternal continent, he was still as small as gravel. Until now, he has not been able to find Lu Qingning's body. Tan Jingmo suddenly coughed, half covering his abdomen, and his face turned pale. Si frowned, "Second senior brother, you have a stomach problem, let me prescribe you some medicine." She also heard Lu Qingning mention that Jingmo had suffered from the disease because he often had irregular meals. He has never been treated, and he still hasn't recovered. This kind of stomach trouble is easy for her now. A minor illness. Tan Jingmo straightened up and said lightly, "I will take painkillers. With my physical strength, this illness will not expand into cancer or anything like that. Evolutionaries above level A will almost never die from illness. If they really die one day, apart from being killed, they will only die from the aging of all their body organs." Tan Jingmo paused and laughed softly, "Only when it hurts can it be remembered deeply." He turned his head and looked out the window. "I have been thinking that if I have such a stomach problem, she will show up the next second and scold me for not eating well." Si*'s body suddenly shook. "Second senior brother. This is indeed Lu Qingning's style. She is always full of energy and is a little sun that lights up everyone. No one thought that one day the sun would completely set in the west and never rise in the east again. Some people say that everyone will die 3 times, Tan Jingmo said lightly. When everyone forgets you, you will be completely dead. How could I forget her and let her become lonely? She is so afraid of silence. She must really want someone to accompany her. In that case, I will feel very distressed. Hearing what he said, Sci-Fi's heart seemed to be grasped by a big hand, making it so heavy that he could hardly breathe. She whispered, "Second senior brother. If even I forget her, who in this world will remember her?" Tan Jingmo asked. The Lu family. He was an orphan since childhood, and was picked up by Yunjin and brought back to the top of the clouds. At the age of 5, he entered Eternal College and met Lu Qingning. Childhood sweethearts grew up together for nearly 20 years. "I'll be alone for a while." Tan Jingmo patted her head. "Xiaoqing, go see if anyone else needs your help." Sci opened the door silently and left. Inside the room, Tan Jingmo sat quietly for a while. He pulled out a CD from his pocket. It has a date written on it and it was taken 11 years ago. He put the CD into the computer. The disc started playing, and a girl in her early 20s appeared on the screen. She had her hair tied into a high ponytail and was wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans. "Mo, I guess you don't eat well anymore," the girl sighed. Her smile was helpless and infinitely indulgent. "What will you do if I'm not by your side one day?" Tan Jingmo sat quietly without speaking. "This is a cooking teaching video I specially prepared for you," Lu Qingning said energetically. "Come on, follow me and learn with me. Don't let Xiaoqing enter the kitchen, she will explode. I can't even cook rice." At the end of the sentence, Lu Qingning went a little crazy. Tan Jingmo smiled subconsciously. "Yes, Sci will blow up the kitchen." What follows is very detailed cooking instruction. 10 minutes later, the teaching ends. Produced by Xiaolu. It must be a high-quality product. Lu Qingning waved her hand and gave him another wink. Mo, see you next time." The screen went black and the video ended. No one knew that this wave would never be seen again. At the age of 18, not long after they graduated from the inner courtyard of Eternal Academy, they already had extraordinary strength and left their names on the Eternal ranking. After that, she stayed in the inner courtyard, so he stayed with her, but not in the same department. Students from the inner academy often go on missions to the Eternal Continent, and some functions can only be used in abyss mode. So death is inevitable. But he didn't expect that this day would come so quickly, but it was less than 6 years later. She finally stayed in her youngest and most beautiful years, frozen forever. Tan Jingmo took out the CD, put it back in place, and went to the kitchen to cook for himself. "Be obedient, Ning," he whispered in his mind. After the Western Continent branch of T18 and 0 was bombed, Tan Jingmo did not choose to rebuild. Instead, we took this opportunity to announce to the world that T18 and 0 have become one. As soon as this news came out, the entire world was shocked. Everyone is speculating about what happened between these two evenly matched organizations, from a competitive relationship to a close collaborator. T18 and 0 internal employees did not react much. Several people who knew the inside story tried their best to hold it in. No one would have thought that T18 and 0 would finally become in-laws one day. Roland held a barrel of wine. "Hey, when will Chief Margaret forgive her boyfriend? I think she is very angry." "Who can tell clearly?" A chief investigator spread his hands. "We are a group of singles, so don't make wild guesses." Roland nodded and was about to say something when the door he was leaning against was suddenly pushed open. His body tensed suddenly, and he felt a cold air approaching. Several investigators also shut up for a moment and looked at the people behind Roland with trepidation. When Roland saw their expressions, he almost didn't dare to look back. But the voice came from behind him, and it was a commanding tone. "Who told you to turn your back to me?" Roland was startled and immediately turned around. "Hello, Chief." Tan Jingmo looked at him indifferently and showed a dangerous smile. "What did you just say? You, Chief Margaret, fell in love? Huh? How did you know? Who told you? Why didn't you report it if you knew it?" Several axes were swung at Roland's head, crushing him. Roland. Ruined. Good morning. Thank you all for your monthly votes for Ching Ching. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 738. Roland hated his rude mouth very much now. He wanted to slap himself. Why did the chief hear the gossip between him and his subordinates? Tan Jingmo's eyes were calm. "I'll give you 3 minutes. Roland was agitated. "First, Chief, I don't know anything. I was just scolding the other party when I heard Chief Margaret on the phone. Later I found out that the other party was her boyfriend, and I was very curious about why they quarreled. I didn't know about the others." Tan Jingmo lifted his eyelids gently. "Oh." Roland trembled. He compared the combined combat power of Sci-fi and Yujian, and finally chose not to say anything. Tan Jingmo squinted at him. Roland felt his heart tremble. Until the phone ringing broke the silence. Tan Jingmo glanced at it, and when he picked it up, Roland breathed a sigh of relief. There was a female voice on the phone. The female voice called him, "Second senior brother." Tan Jingmo had no special reaction. "Is there something wrong?" "Second senior brother, I have something to ask for your help." The female voice was low. "About the Eternal Continent." "I don't have time now." Tan Jingmo glanced at his watch. "You can solve it yourself first, or find the old man. He's going to kill people." At this time, the top of the cloud. The woman looked at the phone that was hung up in her hand and pursed her lower lip. The top of the cloud is indeed built on a high mountain with an altitude of 4,000 meters, straight into the sky. But the first word of this name is actually taken from the surname of Yunjin, the master of the top of the cloud. The pinnacle represents the pinnacle. The top of the cloud is a place that is isolated from the world. Except for the disciples and hired managers, there is no permission. Even the dean of the Eternal Academy is not allowed to step in here. The guard on the side asked the woman, "Miss Chi, how is it?" "Second senior brother is busy." The woman shook her head and sighed softly. "If it was junior sister, he would definitely put down all the work at hand to help." "Why is this?" the guard complained in a low voice. "Aren't they all junior sisters? Why do you prefer one over the other? You entered the door earlier than the other." The woman sighed softly. "Don't say such things, you can only rely on yourself. The holographic game in the Abyss mode is indeed very dangerous, and even she can't guarantee that she can get out of it every time. The last time she had not arrived at Yunmen's center to see Yunmen, she had been seriously injured. If the link is not disconnected in time, I am afraid that he will die in Yunmen's. The 10 Fierce Lands really deserved this title." The woman thought about it for a moment, and was going to borrow some staff from the Eternal Academy. "When going down the mountain, I met a young man wearing gold monocle." "Junior brother 8." the woman greeted. "Master hasn't come out yet." The young man shook his head slightly. "Not yet, but it should be soon. Where are you going?" The woman smiled. "Go to the Eternal Academy to borrow someone, and then go to the Eternal Continent to do the task." The young man nodded. "Okay, you pay attention to safety. I will go to protect the law for the master." At this time, Sci-fi had returned to the Daxia Empire, and then recorded Daxia treasures. After get off work, it rained again outside, and the sky was dark. She bought an oversized cup of milk tea and walked back slowly. Sci-fi returned to the hotel, just got out of the elevator, and before he reached the door of the room, he suddenly saw a person standing in the shadows. The man lowered his head, and when he heard the footsteps, he raised his eyes and looked in her direction. A layer of rain had fallen on him, and his black hair was wet against his ears and forehead, like a wounded animal in the forest. The eyes are not as aggressive as usual, and they become a lot more supple after the convergence. It was hard for anyone to resist his gaze like this. It is hard to imagine that this man is Chief Zero, who makes the outside world feel fearful, or the owner of the 8 major mines who can control half of the economic lifeline of Liberty Continent. Si fucking fell silent. She finally swiped the door with her keycard and brought in a large dog that was wet from the rain. She let him sit on the sofa and went to the bathroom to get a clean towel. Si fucking was ruthless and ruthless. Stretch out your hand. Uzian stretched out her hand, still looking at her with very soft eyes. Ching ching, it hurts. Si fucking wiped his hands. You don't have any wounds on your body, don't lie to me. His eyelashes drooped, he paused for a few seconds, and whispered 2 words, it hurts. Si fucking. Listen, is this what a human being can say? She really couldn't stand his expression. Even though she knew that he was trying to trick her in some way, she had to admit that she just did it raw. Si fucking was expressionless. It is forbidden for the prisoner to collapse, or I will give you an additional sentence. Personality. Uzian seemed a little confused when he heard the words. He looked at her with his head on his hand, and raised his eyebrows slightly. What is my persona? Si fucking thought about it for a while and summed up 16 words. No strangers are noble and glamorous, ruthless and decisive. Well, Uzian patiently listened to her description. Ching ching, then you can get used to the new character design. Don't think about it. Si fucking was cold. You have your own hands, so wipe them yourself. She threw the towel to him and ran quickly into the bathroom. After attacking her several times, she was reluctant to actually hit him. He also used this method repeatedly to win her sympathy. Damn black-hearted monster. Si fucking took out a small notebook and began to record the number of days. 7 days, 53 days until the goal is reached. This time she will stick to it for 2 months. Si fucking stretched, ready to ignore the extra men and start enjoying supper. Yumi's phone call came at this time. Little junior sister Yu Jian said quickly, the second child knows that you are in a relationship, so he will find you immediately. I guess I have already gone downstairs. You should prepare in advance and give him a buffer. Downstairs, Si fucking's expression froze slightly, and he looked out with his probe, and said solemnly, it's too late to jump out of the window at this time. Jump out of the window, Yumi responded quickly, is he in your room? Si fucking immediately pushed Uzian up. Quick, quick, do you smell murderous? Hurry in. She forced him into the closet. Before closing the wardrobe, she saw that his expression seemed to drop, and she said with her lips, I told you that the most murderous person in T18 is the chief, and I was all corrupted by him. You won't believe me, right? Uzian looked back at her and communicated with her by mouth. Ching ching, he can control the elements, you can't hide me. He can control the ground, and you can also control the space. Si fucking raised his eyebrows. If you can't hide it from him, you will always be a prisoner. After closing the wardrobe, dong dong dong, the outer door was knocked rhythmically. Si fucking breathed a sigh of relief. After wiping the sweat off her forehead, she walked over to open the door. Tan Jingmo didn't wear the T18 uniform, and even put on a sweater with a very homely and casual atmosphere. But this did not weaken his momentum by half, but instead made him stronger. Si fucking always knew that her second senior brother looked cynical and rambunctious, but he had a ruthless strength in his bones, and he was no weaker than the senior brother. I declare in advance that I have taken a long vacation. Si fucking shrugged. It is useless for you to arrest me and go back to work. Go find your new employee. Margaret, you're good at it. Tan Jingmo narrowed his eyes. Where's your boyfriend? Where are you hiding? Si fucking looked at him. What boyfriend? I'm the only one here. I'm reading the script. He's not here today. You're in the wrong place. Really, Tan Jingmo said lightly, have I told you that 90% of the men in this world are liars? I like to lie to little girls like you the most, except for your brother. Si fucking. She thought to herself that the second child's words were more rigorous than the fifth one. When scolding people, at least exclude yourself. Nonsense. Si fucking looked at Tan Jingmo coolly, my boyfriend is not a liar. She absolutely cannot question her view of mate choice. There was no movement in the closet. Si fucking was very pleased. The black-hearted monster is still very obedient at the critical moment. Tan Jingmo walked in and glanced lightly. After eating the leftover fried chicken, a cup, a pair of slippers, there is only the imprint of a person lying on the bed. Si fucking was very calm. The anti-reconnaissance and tracking methods she possesses are all about the Beijing Mexico religion. Blue is better than blue. There is no clue. As long as Yu Ziyan makes no mistakes, she will be able to pass the test smoothly today. In the end, Tan Jingmo's eyes fell on the wardrobe. He walked over slowly and put his hand on the door. Your Majesty, dangerous. His Majesty is getting more and more skilled, and I wonder why he is so skilled. This plot is a bit stuck, so I'll sort it out and add more to you in a few days. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 739. Si fucking remained calm. What do you do with the wardrobe? Is it possible to hide people in such a big place? I have requirements for my boyfriend's body. That's why she put Yu Ziyan in with great effort just now. After all, he has wide shoulders and long legs, which is a perfect figure. Is there a request? Tan Jingmo glanced at her lightly after hearing this. Didn't you say that you only need to look at your face before? I ask for more. Si fucking counted with his fingers, face, body, voice, hands, strength, all are indispensable. Tan Jingmo raised his eyebrows. You're asking too much, he said, but his hand did not leave the wardrobe door. If you don't believe me, I'll open it for you. Si fucking jumped off the sofa and walked to the closet to open the door actively. Crack. The cabinet door opens. There was no one in the closet except for two women's shirts. Tan Jingmo squinted his eyes, but did not feel the temperature that someone had been there before. He just turned around. Although Si fucking didn't know where Yu Ziyan went, but the crisis was over and she could relax. Right. Tan Jingmo took 2 steps, then stopped and turned his head. Si fucking didn't change his face. What's wrong? The International Games is about to begin. Tan Jingmo said, if you want to go to see it, I'll reserve a ticket for you. Their senior brothers have a habit of watching every International Games as a spectator. It was only after the explosion 5 years ago that he disappeared. But maybe we can meet this year? After all, the little sister is still alive. Thank you. Si fucking waved his hand and started chasing people. Come on now. Tan Jingmo gave her one more look before leaving. Only Si fucking was left. She sat down slowly on the sofa and just picked up a piece of fried chicken. The door opened again, and the man came out of the closet. Si fucking, didn't you leave? Yu Ziyan stroked the ash on her sleeve and explained, space is distorted. Similar to stealth fighter mechanics, it can create visual illusions. People are there, but they can't be seen. Si fucking hugged the fried chicken away from him, and whispered, black-hearted monster. Her second senior brother met an opponent. Yu Ziyan's expression was light. He supported his head, but his thoughts drifted to what Kenyan had said. In case Miss Si has a lot of relatives and friends. He sighed softly. This sentence has really come true. The phone ding. A message comes in. Yu Ziyan's phoenix eyes narrowed slightly. Mr. Yu, you are working under Margaret, and you should also keep an eye on the people around her. If you encounter suspicious people, you can teach them a lesson if necessary. This little girl is a face control, Easy to be deceived. Yu Xian's brows twitched. He didn't have any pressure, and he replied 2 words with ease. Can. Yu Xian put away the phone and turned her head. Ching ching, I can. As if anticipating what he was going to say, Si fucking stopped him in advance. The prisoner is now imprisoned for life, and it is forbidden to stay overnight. She pushed him out. This is my territory, you go out. If Tan Jingmo came back after a while, she wouldn't be able to eat a good supper. She is in love, how can it be the same as cheating? The next day, after Si fucking left Daxiatai in the afternoon, he came to Xiata to submit his thesis to the Department of Archaeology. In the matter of writing the thesis, Si fucking has already practiced it. After all, when I was at Eternal Academy, there were also assignments such as theses. However, Yu Huixu refused to write the thesis and offered conditions that she could not refuse, so she happily helped her good sister to write it. Every time she writes 2 papers, it can be said that she is very familiar. Last year, the Department of Archaeology made several major discoveries, all of which were completed with the help of Si fucking, and achieved a lot. The professors also liked her very much. The freshman year did not make any thesis requirements, and Si fucking handed in this thesis, which greatly surprised the professors. The angle chosen by Mr. Si is very new. We haven't thought of discussing His Majesty Emperor Yin from this angle. Maybe one day, the tomb of His Majesty Yin Huang will be found. Hearing this sentence, Si fucking fell silent, and said softly, he doesn't have a tomb. The old professor was a little surprised, and his expression gradually became serious. Where did Mr. Si find any clues in the ancient books? The archaeological team will not actively excavate the tomb, but will only repair and protect the tomb after it is damaged by weathering or tomb robbers. After so many years, the tombs of some emperors after Emperor Yin have been discovered, but there is still no trace of Emperor Yin's tomb. They did suspect that Emperor Yin did not leave a tomb. But it is still more inclined that the tomb of Emperor Yin is very hidden and no one can find it. Si fucking shook his head. Professor, I'll go first. The old professor saw that she was in a good mood, and nodded. Okay, if you need help, let me know in advance. Si Fu nodded and walked out of the archaeology department building. Next to the Department of Archaeology is the Department of Physical Education. The playground is full of young, fit bodies, both male and female. Si fucking was about to leave when she heard a voice calling her. She turned her head. The little girl saw her face, her eyes lit up instantly, and she said loudly, "Ching ching baby, mommy is here." In the entertainment industry, mom fans usually call themselves this. Si fucking realized what it means to be messy in the wind. Why is a 16-year-old girl a fan of her mother? How does she look like a daughter? Ching ching baby, we met. The little girl was very cheerful. It's in the Principality of Miston, I've liked you for a long time. Si fucking bent down and touched her head. I remember. This year's international games have started again. The little girl's eyes were bright. I will go to Dongsang with Coach Su and the other sisters in the afternoon. The international games are held once a year, and this year Dongsang is in charge of hosting them. Behind him, a helpless voice came, "Get off Miss Si quickly and see what you look like." The little girl let go of her hand reluctantly and called out obediently, "Coach Su." Si fucking also greeted Su Wangtong. Miss Si. Su Wangtong hesitated for a moment. Have we met before? Si fucking smiled. I have seen teacher Su's game. She had indeed met Su Wangtong in her previous life. In an international games many years ago, she went with the senior brother and the second senior brother. At the age of 16, Su Wangtong won 2/3 of the gold medals in the women's swimming event, shocking the entire international sports world. It was also from then on that the Great Xia Empire began to emerge in swimming. 12 years have passed, and things are different. Su Wangtong was stunned for a while, and then showed a smile. I'm also a big fan of Girls of the Town, Miss Si did a great job. Ching ching baby, the little girl stretched out her hands to compare her heart, waiting for me to bring you the gold medal back. Si fucking waved to her lazily, okay. After she watched the women's swimming team leave, she was tapped on the shoulder from behind. Student Si. Si fucking sighed, Mr. Lee, did you learn Qigong? So spooky. Teacher Lee was very happy, how do you know? I will follow you to learn martial arts. Si fucking. She was just talking casually. Teacher Lee glanced at the distance, student Si still knows Wang Tong. I just met Si fucking said, she is very powerful. Yeah, Zai Wei Xing is falling from the sky in the swimming world. Teacher Lee sighed, why did such a thing happen? Su Wangtong was suspended for 10 years after being misjudged by the International Games Organizing Committee for doping. Although it was lifted in advance 4 years ago, the 7 years of the suspension were the golden period of Su Wangtong's swimming career, and it was just wasted. She had her wings broken and she has been unable to fly since. Teacher Lee said with a kind expression, Student Si, I discussed with a few coaches and arranged you to be an alternate player in the women's badminton team. But generally, there will be no problems with the main selection team members. You can record variety shows with confidence. Si fucking gave an okay gesture, understood. They are leaving tomorrow. Teacher Lee glanced at the time, Student Si, do you have time now? Go to the team to play a friendly match. Daxia Empire Women's Badminton Team. A group of people are warming up. This year's grouping situation is not very good. Coach Mo frowned, why do you encounter teams from these countries in the group trials? You have to be vigilant. There are a few seeded players who just restrained your style of play. The players said in unison, I see, coach. Teacher Lee brought Si fucking over at this time. The girl took off her mask and the whole training room was lit up. The players were a little dumbfounded. Si fucking stepped forward and greeted them politely. Fucking is here. Coach Mo got up, come and sit. Wow, coach, a voice sounded, did you see that we were training too hard, so we specially let us rest and chase stars. Coach, you're really trendy, have you watched Girls of the Town? It's better that we, Coach Mo, have invited such a big star to be jealous of the group of boys next door. A young girl carefully touched Si fucking's shoulder and made a moving woo-woo voice, wife, I have seen a living wife. Wife is really alive. The broadcast of Girls in the Country ended last month, and the last scene was fixed on the scene of Zhang Ziyu's death. Holding a spear, she would rather die than kneel. The whole network cried miserably. Si fucking. She feels that the entertainment industry is a very unsafe place. She felt like she was going to be eaten by fans. This was the feeling she didn't feel when she was on a mission, no matter how critical it was. After all, her fans are powerful enough to defeat her anti-reconnaissance methods. I asked you to relax and chase stars. What are you dreaming about? Coach Mo laughed angrily, I tell you, if any of you don't perform well, your wife will have to go up to the game. Fu Qing, give you a beat, you go up and wake them up. The entire training ground was silent for a moment. Good morning. This chapter can be read in conjunction with chapter 279. What's going on? You are asking who his CP is before the big brother comes out. His Majesty would never have known that he was going to score 4 more. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 740. At the same time, a brand new badminton racket was stuffed into Si fucking's hand. A girl came back to her senses and said, Coach, don't be kidding me. My goddess uses knives and guns with her hands. How can you let her play? Then you can't just shoot it away. Teacher Lee, who really fought against SI fucking. It really flew right away. Am I kidding? Coach Mo snorted coldly. I see if you can laugh for a while. Line up one by one, come and fight fucking. This sentence made the girls active. I'll come first, I'll come first. Let my wife and I fight first, and you go behind. Soon, several people lined up. Teacher Lee pushed his glasses. He thought to himself that there must be some ignorant cub suffering with him. The girl who took the lead played twice and was eager to try. Wife, don't worry, I will never win against you, I will give you the ball. After hearing her say that, SI fucking's expression became serious. Please advise. 10 minutes later. The 5 regular players looked at the badminton on the ground and fell into a mysterious silence. International games have strict age limits for athletes. Minimum 14 years old and no more than 26 years old. In the women's badminton team, the youngest player is only 16 years old, and the oldest player will retire after participating in this session. Although the age group spans a lot, they are indeed fans of SI fucking. After all, in more than a year, only the 2 TV dramas she filmed have exploded. Crossing the Devil set off a new generation of Xiangxia dramas, revealing the true nature of those Xiangxia dramas dressed in romance in recent years. Girls of the Town is a new theory of history, which not only allows the new generation of young people to read the real history, but also is sought after by the older generation. Athletes also watch dramas in their spare time. After watching the finale of The Girl of the Town last month, the team hugged and cried for a long time. But this drama also inspired their fighting spirit. They practiced harder and wanted to shine in international games and let the world see the power of Xia Xia. The practice effect is also very impressive. But who can tell them why their wives also play badminton? You still call your wife, Coach Mo sneered with his hands behind his back. You can't even catch your wife's serve, so you still call your wife? Are you worthy? Don't give me good training. All female badminton players. This is a really sad subject. But that's not the point is. Wife, you must not retire to become an athlete. The youngest girl in the team held SI fucking's hand with tears in her eyes. I won't allow it, don't worry, I will practice more, I won't let you have this opportunity. SI fucking. No, what are her fans thinking? By coincidence, the girls all had an idea. That is, in order not to let SI Fu fall out of the circle, they must win all the awards for women's badminton this time. Coach Mo is very satisfied. She didn't expect SI fucking to have an inspiring role. Teacher Lee said very sadly, Student SI, you play badminton very well. I don't know who did poo it to you. You can't suppress yourself. If this level is bad, how can they live? SI fucking sighed, my eldest brother said it. If you have seen him play, you will definitely think that I am a rookie. Teacher Lee is righteous, impossible, you can go directly to the game at this level. Coach Mo, do you want to? That's not necessary, I can be a reserve player. SI fucking smiled, they have been training for a long time, just for this moment, they believe in me, then I also believe that they can realize their dreams. Yeah, the children are working hard. Coach Mo also smiled, and then she frowned and her expression became cold. Old Lee, this year's chairman is still the guy Bronk, I'm afraid of him. SI fucking raised his head, Bronk. It's the person who misjudged Wangtong's doping. Professor Lee's expression was also cold. It's a misjudgment, who knows if it was intentional. Su Wangtong was still on the rise in his career. Once suspended, the blow was too painful. The women's swimming team appealed several times and was finally beaten back. It took 7 years to be proven innocent, but everything was ruined. Now that 11 years have passed, it is completely impossible to find the truth of the past. SI fucking's fox eyes narrowed, blank, I remember the name. Forget it, let's see it step by step. Coach Mo sighed, no matter what, We must protect our players. Teacher Lee nodded solemnly. Si fucking looked out the window and gradually lost his senses. Senior brother, where exactly are you now? Night. Eternal continent. Si fucking did not change his appearance today, only a black cloak was approved. The Lord of Ghost Valley lifted his eyelids. Have you quarreled with that kid? I unilaterally sentenced him. Si fucking complained, he attacked me. Good judgment, the Lord of Gigo gave a high five, and said, the old man said that he worshipped the old ghost of Moiwan as his teacher, and he must have been spoiled by the old ghost of Moiwan, and this old ghost is also old. Sneak attack as a teacher. But since he is from my ghost valley, the old man will teach him more and let him get rid of this bad habit. Si fucking, how did he become a Gigo person? Master, you won't have been bribed, right? Last time you said that no one can kidnap me, and your will is too weak. The word bribe is inappropriate. The Lord of Ghost Valley coughed lightly. I think he is really good for the teacher. There are too few people who can match you, and you have a good eye. Si fucking hummed twice. That's right, my boyfriend is the best. Lord of Ghost Valley. Who the hell is not determined? Hopeless. The Lord of Ghost Valley waved his hand and said angrily, aren't you looking for the two divine swords, Baju Yahan and Tianyu? Yunmen is in Yunmen's today, go ahead. Si fucking hugged his arm and rubbed, Master, you are so kind. The traces of the top 10 vicious NPCs have always been uncertain, and she ran away to Yunmen's a few times before. Stop acting like a spoiled brat. By the way, I met a few guys from Huangquan Mountain a while ago. The Lord of Ghost Valley snorted, I don't know if they have done something bad, and they look bad for the teacher. If you meet them, they dare to bully you and call you a teacher at any time. If you can't beat the teacher, you can also call the old ghost Moiwan. Si fucking nodded slightly. Huangquan Mountain, one of the top 10 fierce places. From the name, it is extremely dangerous. The reason why it is called Fierce Land is also because the players have very little information about it. The existing data are all obtained by the players to explore with their lives. It is good to have a vicious NPC as a master. She can obtain more information about the Eternal Continent than other players. Si fucking took the greeting card given to her by the Master of the Ghost Valley, and walked out of the Ghost Valley slowly to Yunmen's. Yunmen's, also known as the island in the cloud, floats in the sky. As soon as Si fucking landed on the island, he saw a familiar figure. Although Yuzian also made a disguise, the two became friends not long ago, and even if they disguised, they could recognize them. Si Fu tilted his hood, why are you here? Yuzian turned her head to the side and smiled slightly, shouldn't the officer be staring at the prisoner sentenced to life imprisonment? I'll give Tang Tang a weapon today. Si fucking glanced at him, you're her 9th uncle, so I'll work with you temporarily. Yuzian hummed, thinking casually. At the critical moment, Yu Tang was indeed more useful. Unlike canyoning, which only speaks nonsense, the nonsense will come true. Come with me, Si fucking said with a solemn expression, declare in advance, safety comes first, if you can't, withdraw. This time they were all brainwaves linked in abyss mode. Injuries will also be reflected back into reality indiscriminately. Yuzian quietly guarded her, well. The two quickly came to Yunmen's entrance. But in front of them, there is already a team of people. Junior Zisu, come to meet Senior Yunmen. A female voice came at this moment, I urge Senior Yunmen to meet you. Si fucking's footsteps stopped, and his eyes narrowed suddenly. Perilla. The real name of her 7th sister. Yu Jian said that Lao Qi was injured in the Eternal Continent, so it was because he came to Yunmen's? Si fucking looked up. At the same time, Shi Su and his party also discovered that there were 2 other people on the island. Besides Zi Su, a young general, Si fucking, and Yuzian, looked at them and said lightly, you are also here to find Senior Yunmen? Go back, Don't waste your energy. They can't see it. What can these two unknown players do? Ching ching, I didn't expect it. I'm also a group favorite here in the Eternal Continent. I'm so excited to see if Ovo is right. I don't know, please watch the follow-up episodes. After looking at some plot clips and setting inspirations I recorded before the article, I suddenly found that the first fan group I named Ching Ching was called Old Driver. Ching Ching, smiley face, see you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 741. They also entered the game with the brainwaves linked in the Abyss mode, and they met two other people under such circumstances, which proved that these two people also chose the Abyss mode. This means that these two must be 6-star players. But who graduated from the inner courtyard of Eternal Academy, which one is not a 6-star player? Not to mention that there is an absolute power gap between 6-star players and 6-star players. Some players are just lucky enough to trigger the upgrade mechanism, and then they reach the 6th level. The youth has never seen these two 6-star players, so these two must not belong to the Eternal Academy. There is really no need to take it too seriously, he just kindly reminded him. Yuzian raised her eyes, her expression light. But Si fucking could feel that his muscles ready to go proved that he had entered a fighting state. We'll start anytime. Liberty Island is chaotic enough. The Eternal Continent is a virtual magic game world. Even the NPCs here do not obey the rules, and there is no order at all. Killing can happen at any time here. Si fucking didn't let down his guard because Shisu was on the opposite side. On the contrary, it also increased accordingly. She held Yuzian's arm and said lightly, "You don't have to worry about it. It's just a kind reminder to you." The young man snorted softly, "You came to practice on your own, right? We are students of Eternal Academy and have undergone systematic training. I've been here for 7 days, and I haven't gotten in. How do you get in?" Hearing this sentence, Si fucking glanced at the young man one more time. Eternal Academy? She quickly searched the memory in her mind, but she couldn't find it in the end. Oh, then not even on the Eternal list. Si fucking didn't bother with the young man, and dragged Yuzian forward. Zisu's eyes changed and she said, "Be careful, there is a formation over there. If the Ghost Valley is full of poison, Yunmen's is also full of yin and yang formations. This is a magical continent, and the power of Onmyoji is far greater than the real world." The young man folded his arms and snorted softly, "Miss Sisu, there is no need to talk so much to strangers, let them try it out and see how difficult it is." However, at this moment, the fog of the swamp suddenly dissipated. SHH. Something came out of nowhere. When everyone's sight became clear, a young woman descended from the sky and landed smoothly on the swamp. She was wearing the Onmyoji robe that Yunmen's only had. The appearance of the woman made everyone's expression stunned. There are currently no video records of Yunmen in the game database. Could this be the Lord of Yunmen's? The young man's expression changed, and he was about to step forward. He felt that his limbs were paralyzed and he couldn't move. At the same time, Shisu and several other students of the Eternal Academy were also restricted. This changed their expressions drastically. They are all 6-star players, and they have no resistance in front of high-level NPCs. The young woman didn't look at Shisu's group, but stepped forward slowly, every step was steady. She came to Si fucking and Yuzian. There are guests coming from afar, and the master has been waiting for a long time. The young woman folded her hands together, "Please come with me." "You're welcome." Si fucking slightly stretched body relaxed, "You, the prisoner, walk in front of me." Yuzian knew that she was preventing another pedestrian from behind, so she let him in front. His heart moved slightly, and he let out a low hum. The two followed the young woman in, and the fog over the swamp closed again. Nothing can be seen. There was a momentary loss of voice outside Yunmen's. The group looked at each other. They didn't know for a while that the young woman who held them in place with a wave of her hand turned out to be just Yunmen's disciple. Still shocked that Sci-Fucking and Yuzian were invited in. The young man lost his voice. They. That is Yunmen. One of the top 10 evil NPCs. Or the ancestor of Onmyoji. Therefore, there are countless Onmyoji masters in Liberty Island who want to come to Yunmen's to worship Yunmen as a teacher and practice Onmyoji. It's just that after so many years, there are only a handful of people who can see Yunmen. The reason why Koimu Minjio is so famous is also because she has studied with Yunmen for a period of time. They tried their best to not see Yunmen, but Yunmen actually invited people in. Zisu sighed, let's go. She knew that she would never see Yunmen no matter what. Inside Yunmen's Sci-Fucking looked around curiously. Unlike the surrounding swamp formations, Yunmen's is also a fairyland of Daowen. The young woman led them into the inner hall. A woman is sitting high, with a long skirt dragging the ground, and her figure is graceful. As the Lord of Ghost Valley said, Yunmen's appearance is indeed young. Less than 30 years old, beautiful, and full of moonlight. Yunmen put down the teacup, floated down in an instant, and locked his eyes. Soul cultivation is good, it's just your soul cultivation method. She fell silent. It made her feel a sense of familiarity. Strangeness. She never taught the girl. Yunmen's eyes fell on Yuzian again, and his pupils contracted slightly. Naturally, this change could not escape the eyes of the man. He smiled, Senior Yunmen. Yunmen didn't speak, his eyes swept back and forth between the two. As an Onmyoji, she doesn't see people, but souls. Suddenly Yunmen laughed, you two are really interesting, very interesting. After a long time, she stopped laughing, if that's the case, why don't I give Tianyu Yuzhan and Budu Yuhan to you? Sci-Fucking was startled, send. Yunmen waved his hand and grabbed it in the void. OM. The space vibrated slightly. Immediately afterwards, two long swords gradually appeared. Okay, put it away. Yunmeng threw the two swords to Sci-Fucking and sat back on the high seat. You can come around when you are free, Duruo. Yes, master. The young woman stepped forward, took out two tokens, and respectfully handed them to Sci-Fucking. This token can guarantee you unimpeded access in Yunmen's. Yunmen said casually, when things are done, you can go back. She waved her hand and pushed the two out. The next second, Sci-Fucking woke up from the game cabin. She was shocked. Like Ji Chunyuan, Yunmen was able to bring her back to the real world directly. Onmyoji are really powerful. It was so fast that she couldn't even react. Sci-Fucking opened the game's backup compartment, looked at the swords of Tianyu Yuzhan and Buletin Du Yuhan, and fell into contemplation. Does her master have such a big face on Yunmen's side? There is no reason. Sci-Fucking put away the two swords, contacted Yuzian, and went to Liberty Island together. Butu Yuhan and Tianyu Yuzhan are used by a man and a woman who are in the same mind, and they can exert even greater power. Neither she nor Yuzian could use it, so they gave it to Yu Tang and Lu Xingheng. At the same time, the Eternal Academy Data Center Department. The young man patrolled the data sets as usual. However, today something went wrong. When the inspection came to Yunmen's, the instrument suddenly sounded an alarm. The data of Tianyu Yu is missing. The data of Baju Yuzul is missing. This means that the two divine swords have left the eternal continent. The young man's eyes widened in disbelief. When he checked the program library yesterday, the two swords, Tianyu Yuzhan and Butu Yuzul, were still well stored in the eternal continent. Why did you disappear in the blink of an eye today? There are many treasures on the eternal continent. Even though this holographic game has been around for at least a few decades, and countless people have set foot on this virtual continent through gaming pods or gaming helmets, less than a quarter of the places they have explored have been explored. The remaining 3/4 are unknown. No one knows how many artifacts are still on the Eternal Continent. It was brought out and known to all, only the Tiankong Yunjian of Kukaki Minjiao. But definitely more than that. At least the artifacts in the Eternal Academy will not be less than 3, but they have not been leaked. It can be called a divine weapon, and its power is naturally not small. Even if the artifact is brought to reality, there is no Eternal Continent, but it will cut iron like mud and enhance the power of the user's yin and yang and 5 elements. Someone took away 2 artifacts at one time. This matter could not be concealed, and it was quickly spread. The entire Freeland was shaken. The Eternal Forum exploded. Tianyu Yuzhan and Butu Yuzul were also taken away. Who did it? It won't be the eldest lady of the Kukaki family, right? She can use Tiankong Yunjian, but she can't use Tianyu Yuzhan and Butu Yuzhan anymore. Tianyu Yuzhan and Butu Yuzhan can be said to be 2 swords of yin and yang for husband and wife. Only men and women can use them together to exert the greatest power. Where did the husband and wife team come from so strong? The person on the Eternal list of Eternal Academy, right? Wait for the announcement from Eternal Academy. I heard that the top of the cloud has a disciple who went to Yunmen's. It should be the top of the cloud to get it, right? Discussions in the forum are in full swing. On the other side, the Lu family. The doorbell rang. Tang Tang and Miss Si are here. Mother Lu pushed Lu Xingheng, go and greet. Lu Xingheng put down the gamepad and went to the door to pick up someone. As soon as Si fucking came in, he saw Lu Xingkai staring at the tablet with a serious expression. She asked, "What's wrong?" Lu Xingkai sighed, "Isn't it because the 2 swords Tianyu Yuzhan and Butu Yuzhan were taken away? Eternal Academy is holding an emergency meeting." Si fucking raised his eyebrows. Emergency meeting? What is there to hold? Well, members of the law enforcement team have been sent to the Eternal Continent. Lu Xingheng stuffed Yu Tang with a piece of dessert and said lightly, "Recently, the Revenge Organization has been doing too much, and they may have done it. If these 2 swords are in the hands of the Revenge Organization, the consequences will be disastrous. I don't know who is so powerful." He took both divine swords at once. Lu Xingkai shook his head. It's no wonder that the Eternal Academy is facing a formidable enemy. It's a pervert. Sister Ching Ching, you say no. Si fucking put the 2 swords of Butu Yuzhan and Tianyu Yu on the table with a slap, and said in a low voice, "Well, yes, I am that pervert." Lu Xingkai, where am I? What did I say? Are you sure that there is something wrong with the 7th sister? Ha ha ha.